The Cape Canaveral Air Force Station is located amid 17,000 acres of native scrubland and wildlife habitat. Along the Florida shore from which the vast Atlantic stretches, the route to space begins. The work of the 45th Space Wing comes together in a flash of fire from mighty rocket engines. The drama of a space vehicle lifting off from the Cape is as powerful as the rocket engines themselves. Behind every successful launch is a vast network of hardware and software. Radar, optics, telemetry, instrumentation, and databases. Pulling all of these elements together is an even more critical network, the people of the 45th Space Wing. Approximately 1,100 active-duty Air Force members, 2,000 Air Force civilians, and 6,500 employees of aerospace industry contractors. Cape Canaveral Air Force Station has become a new flight line for the Air Force heading into the 21st century. Today's Air Force is guided by a vision that elevates space power alongside air power as a critical component of a lean but effective national defense force. Building the world's most respected air and space force is part of an ongoing top-to-bottom Air Force reorganization and downsizing. In the midst of this restructuring, the 45th Space Wing was activated in November 1991. Headquartered at Patrick Air Force Base, 20 miles south of the Cape, the 45th Space Wing encompasses a wide range of services. The wing is responsible for placing Department of Defense satellites in space. Launch vehicle tracking, safety, and data services are provided by the 45th for a number of agencies. Military, government, and commercial agencies undertaking space launches rely on the Air Force for use of its eastern range, managed by the 45th Space Wing. These customers include the Army and Navy, NASA, foreign governments, European Space Agency, and private contractors. The Atlas II is one of 3 primary launch systems used by the wing for spacelift. The Air Force's newest expendable launch vehicle, the Atlas II, is used primarily to place defense system communications satellites into orbit. The Titan IV is used to lift the heaviest Defense Department satellites into space. It's capable of placing a 10,000-pound spacecraft in orbit 22,000 miles above the Earth. The Delta II is used primarily to place Navstar Global Positioning System satellites in orbit. The Global Positioning System is a constellation of satellites used for precise air, land, and sea navigation. GPS demonstrated the critical need for space-based systems in modern combat during the Persian Gulf War. Allied military forces maneuvered with remarkable precision in a largely featureless terrain with the help of GPS handheld receivers. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, relies on the wing for a variety of services in order to launch the Space Shuttle orbiters Atlantis, Columbia, Discovery, and the newest member of the fleet, the Endeavour. Operated by the 45th Space Wing, the Eastern Range extends over 10,000 miles. From the central east coast of Florida, through the South Atlantic, into the Indian Ocean, a network of instrumentation stations and ships provides critical tracking data. Jonathan Dickinson Missile Tracking Annex is situated 95 miles south of the Cape near Jupiter, Florida. This state-of-the-art site includes telemetry units which monitor fuel consumption rates, propulsion system performance, electronics, and other subsystems on launch vehicles during flight. The site employs radar and flight support systems relayed via microwave to the Cape. A command and destruct system ensures protection of people and property should a launch vehicle veer off course. Tracking support is also provided by Antigua Air Station, 1,250 miles south of the Cape in the Caribbean. The most distant tracking station is Ascension Auxiliary Airfield, located on a volcanic rock island some 5,000 miles downrange. Mobile platforms, including ships, also provide tracking, telemetry, and other data on launches from the range. The tracking ships are managed by the Air Force and operated by a military Sealift Command crew. Waters within the launch safety zone are controlled by the Coast Guard and the Air Force. During launch countdowns, air surveillance is coordinated by the 45th Space Wing to keep commercial aircraft clear of restricted areas. The 45th is one of several wings organized under Air Force Space Command, headquartered at Peterson Air Force Base, Colorado. In addition to being one of the major Air Force commands, Space Command is a component of the United States Space Command, a multi-service agency also headquartered at Peterson. Established in September 1982, Air Force Space Command oversees space lift operations both in Florida and Vandenberg Air Force Base, California. Space Command conducts operations and provides forces for strategic and tactical missile warning, protection of U.S. and Allied space systems, negation of enemy space systems, ground control of satellites, and integration of space assets and capabilities into Air Force operations. The origins of the 45th Space Wing date back to 1950, with the establishment by the Army and Air Force of the Joint Long-Range Proving Ground. At the end of World War II, the Banana River Naval Air Station was deactivated and transferred to the Air Force. In August 1950, the base was named Patrick Air Force Base in honor of General Mason Patrick, the first high-ranking U.S. Army officer to envision the important role of aviation in the military structure. Just 1 month earlier, a German V-2 rocket fitted with an Army upper stage was launched from the Joint Long-Range Proving Ground on the Cape. A year later, the Air Force assumed full control of aerospace research and development, and the organization was renamed the Air Force Missile Test Center. In 1964, the name was changed to the Air Force Eastern Test Range, reflecting the growth and progress at the Cape and downrange. By 1979, the organization became the Eastern Space and Missile Center. When the 45th Space Wing was activated in 1991, it assumed a heritage that includes more than 3,000 launches from the Cape. Throughout those 3,000 launches, a number of firsts were established, such as Explorer 1 in 1958, America's first satellite. The first American in space boarded his capsule atop a Mercury Redstone rocket in 1961 at Complex 5 and 6, now the site of the Air Force Space Museum. On that short flight, Alan Shepard carried the hopes of every American and took the first small step toward man's journey to the moon. some unmanned launches were memorable for other reasons. Today, activities at the Cape encompass numerous operations and support facilities. Ballistic missiles, space launch vehicles, and satellites are routinely assembled and processed for launch. Storage and dispensing facilities for highly volatile and exotic fuels and oxidizers are managed on the Cape. Active launch sites include Space Launch Complexes 40 and 41, part of the Integrate Transfer and Launch Facility, where the Titan IV and the commercial Titan are processed for launch. The Atlas II is launched from Space Launch Complexes 36A and B. Delta II rockets launch from pads 17A and B. Complex 20 is used for suborbital launches. Weather rockets are launched from the Meteorological Rocket Launch Facility. When the 45th Space Wing activated, it became one of the first wings to be organized according to the Air Force's new objective wing structure. The wing's basic mission is similar to the organization it replaced, but the lines of authority and the emphasis on standardizing operations marked a significant change in the way launch support and launches are conducted. 4 organizational groups meet the full range of requirements for the 45th Space Wing. The 45th Operations Group is responsible for program management and operations of 7 diverse support and operational squadrons for launching Delta II, Atlas II, and Titan IV. The Operations Group is also responsible for a spacecraft squadron, a weather squadron, a squadron responsible for Eastern Range activities, and an operations support squadron that runs the 6th busiest aerial port in the Air Force. The 45th Logistics Group controls and directs supporting functions and resources such as transportation, maintenance, contracting, supply, and quality assurance to meet mission requirements. The 45th Support Group oversees all base support functions at Patrick Air Force Base and Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. Security, information management, communications, family support, housing, social actions, maintenance, recreation services, and food services. The 45th Medical Group provides medical, dental, environmental, and public health service.
Let me go ahead and pull
Personnel assigned to the 45th Space Wing and Tenant units and their dependents, retired members of all services and their families, receive health care through the medical group. Over 48,000 active records are on file at the base hospital. The 45th Space Wing has more than 50 tenant units which rely on the wing for base support services. Major tenants include the 2nd Combat Communications Group, the Air Force Technical Applications Center, the Defense Equal Opportunity Management Institute, the Department of Defense Manager's Space Transportation System Contingency Support Office, and the Naval Ordnance Test Unit, which performs land and sea test launches of missiles. 2 flying units call Patrick Air Force Base home. The 41st Air Rescue Squadron flies HH-3E Jolly Green Giant helicopters to support pre-launch security and safety surveillance of launch pads and launch danger zones. The 71st Air Rescue Squadron flies HC-130 cargo aircraft. The 741st Consolidated Aircraft Maintenance Squadron provides maintenance for the 41st and 71st Air Rescue Squadrons. The 45th Sister Wing The 437th Air Wing at Charleston Air Force Base handles the transport between the 45th Space Wing and downrange sites. The surrounding communities have received steadily increasing economic benefits due to the dramatic growth of the space industry. The 45th Space Wing provides a major source of employment for thousands of people. With an annual payroll and local contract expenditures of approximately $600 million and more than $3.5 billion invested in facilities, equipment, and inventories, the Wing's economic impact makes it one of Central Florida's major corporate citizens. Could the pioneers of space launch ever have envisioned the extent of this network of people, facilities, and hardware stretching across thousands of miles? The Air Force Space Command is mastering the space environment critical to a highly technical total force. Likewise, the Space Command is supporting the Wing's modernization of facilities at Patrick and the Cape. The infrastructure had been allowed to decline in the early 1980s when defense planners saw no future for expendable launch vehicles. With the loss of the Space Shuttle Challenger in 1986, the Defense Department reactivated the expendable launch vehicle program to maintain assured access to space. Space exploration and research have become primarily the mission of NASA. The Air Force Space Command is responsible for developing and maintaining standardized military space operations. The 45th Space Wing is at the forefront of that endeavor. Heading toward the 21st century, the Wing is guided by a vision for the future. As the world leader in launch operations, space operations, and base support, quality of life for people is a top priority. Highly trained, creative, and productive people provide quality services and conduct safe and environmentally sound operations. Just as those early pioneers of spaceflight pursued their vision, the 45th Space Wing achieves its vision with 3 words that simply articulate its purpose: go for launch.